I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really
nothing to do, but damn, like, I mean, what else do you gotta do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion.
What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small? Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So skillful, yes, but this and this.
Fighters are terrified of Terence Crawford for several reasons. Roy Jones Jr. even pointed out that Canelo looked nervous just standing across from him during their face-off. What makes Crawford so intimidating isn't only his skill, but the way he remains calm while analyzing every move. He's nearly impossible to hit cleanly and punishes mistakes with flawless timing, leaving his opponents feeling as if there's no path to victory.
That stare down that we talked about when I told you either he's not ready for this or he trying to little boy Bud. He wasn't trying to little boy Bud. He really was afraid, well, not afraid, but he was worried about Bud. And Bud knew that. And Bud being the older guy, Bud kind of looked him in his eye and made him turn away first. That was a victory for Bud. That was Bud's first victory. Anytime that happens, if something else don't come around or something else don't happen to undo that, you got a problem.
Paulie Malignaggi emphasized that Terence Crawford has built one of the most remarkable resumes in boxing. He became an undisputed champion 3 different times, an achievement almost unheard of in modern boxing, and he did it by taking on top names rather than chasing easy fights. What impressed Paulie most wasn't just Crawford's victories, but the way he consistently avoided punishment, rarely getting hit clean while dominating opponents. His record speaks for itself: 41 wins, 31 knockouts, and 0 losses. Paulie described this run as historic and noted that Crawford's recent triumph over Canelo was more than just another win. It marked the beginning of a new era. In his eyes, Crawford has now positioned himself as the defining figure of this generation, much like Floyd Mayweather once was in his.
Flawless. I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special. It's one of those things now, because now I've now seen back-to-back generations of Floyd Mayweather and Bud Crawford, and man, you know, it's one of those things where now I understand why the people that lived in the Ray Leonard era say, you know, oh, wish we could see Ray Leonard against Mayweather and how that would be. Because it just leaves such an empty feeling when you have such special fighters that were in different generations, and you saw both of them. You know, I saw the entirety of the Mayweather generation. I saw the entirety of the Bud Crawford generation. Just incredible. Really, really incredible. And I know Mayweather gets a lot of hate, but for me, he's a tremendous, tremendous fighter. And Terence Bud Crawford is in that realm as well. And it's a fight we'll never get to see. So what are we going to do, you know? It'll be up to the fantasy fights, you know. But let's get into it, man. You know, I want to get into the undercard as well and some of my thoughts on the Netflix show.
Brian described how extraordinary it was to watch Terence Crawford against Canelo, noting that he had rarely seen such a perfect balance between defense and offense in modern boxing. In most fights, a boxer excels in one area while leaving the other exposed, but Crawford displayed both with remarkable precision. Against Canelo, he showed that he could not only neutralize attacks with a tight guard and slick movement, but also shift seamlessly into offense to punish every opening. Brian emphasized that this complete package is what sets Crawford apart from so many other champions: his ability to shut down an opponent's weapons while building his own momentum. For him, it was incredible to witness a fighter not only avoid damage, but also dominate an elite opponent with such composure and skill.
I think that for me, I watch defense as much as I watch offense. So yeah, like I thought, like watching Bud catch those shots off his glove.
He looked amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. He'd go to a body and he'd catch that and come up with an uppercut. You know, just all those things that seem.
He looked great.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that ever.
No one has. Yeah, he's the best.
Canelo. Ever.
Yeah, he's the best.
And I think he would do that to Canelo on his best day. And Canelo said it. He goes, "I couldn't figure him out."
No.
Which is why he probably won't fight him again. In a way.
They'll fight again.
You think so?
The payday, yeah. But so you're gonna get Canelo because the money's in Canelo Crawford, the rematch. Yeah. I don't want to see it, but I want Crawford to get paid, so might as well do it.
Andre Ward offered high praise for Terence Crawford, calling him the most skillful fighter of his generation. Ward, a master technician in his own era, emphasized Crawford's mentality, noting that when Terence sets his mind on a goal, he will go to any length to achieve it. According to Ward, The only way to stop a fighter like Crawford is to truly hurt him in the ring, because tactical tricks alone will never suffice. Crawford's adaptability, his stance switching, sharp adjustments, and ability to think clearly under pressure places him in a rare category of fighters who can impose their will no matter the circumstances. Ward's perspective reinforced the notion that Crawford's success is no accident, but the result of determination, grit, and an unwavering commitment to overcoming every challenge.
Somebody that, like, I can bet the house on is Bud.
Who's the most skillful?
For sure. Me and much alike in our mentality. Like, soon as I see this dude, he come in the room or I come in the room, we start arguing about basketball, wrestling, anything, bro. Like, man, you can't, man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So skillful, yes, but this and this, it's different, man.
Crawford's journey has also been deeply personal, shaped by the influence of his family. He often recalls how his father predicted that he would one day become an undisputed world champion, instilling belief in him from an early age. At the same time, his mother remained skeptical, never fully convinced he would reach the top. Instead of discouraging him, her doubt became his fuel. Every time Crawford stepped into the ring, he carried the determination to prove her wrong. With each win and every belt, he not only fulfilled his father's vision but also earned his mother's pride. Today, he looks back on that journey with satisfaction, proud that his success brought both validation and respect from his family.
I used to tell my mom I was going to be a world champ.
I told me we would be.
How'd that make you feel? It filled me with rage. And every time I stepped foot in the ring or anything that I ever did, I just wanted to win so bad so I can prove a point to her.
I paid the kids, I said, if y'all can whoop Bud, I give y'all $10 a piece. Could none whoop him.
You went out on the street.
Yeah.
What's now Bud Crawford Street.
Yeah.
And offered $10 to anyone who can kick my son's butt.
Yep.
And a lot of takers.
Yeah, the kids in the neighborhood. Couldn't nobody whoop them.
What did he tell you then?
He told you, Mom, I told you I'm the best.
Reflecting on his career decisions, Crawford explained that he never aimed to become undisputed at 154 pounds because he didn't see enough competitive fights in that division. For him, being undisputed isn't just about collecting belts, it's about doing so against the best opposition available. Instead of staying at 154, he made the bold choice to pursue opportunities at 168, where he sees bigger challenges and stronger names that can further cement his legacy. Crawford's refusal to move down underscores his confidence in testing himself at higher weight classes, ensuring his career is defined by risk-taking and ambition rather than comfort and easy wins.
Has being undisputed at 154 ever crossed your mind at this point that you at in your career?
Not at all, because I'm looking at the landscape of the 154-pound division. There's a lot of great fighters, but there's not a lot of defining fights at 154. There's not a lot of legacy fights at 154. You know, when I'm looking at the landscape of 154, I beat what's his name?
Majimov? No, 154?
No. The champion that just knocked out Tim Tszyu.
Oh, Bachram. Yeah.
Okay, so Bachram, they're going to say, who is Bachram?
Facts.
He knocked out Tim Tszyu that already had losses.
I would put you down with Fedora, though.
But Fedora already been knocked out.
Yeah, he did.
So, along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments, just off of pure hate.
Crawford has also taken moments to showcase the belts he has earned, not as empty bragging, but as a reflection of the years of dedication and hard work behind them. To him, each belt represents more than a victory. It carries the struggles, sacrifices, and perseverance that came with the journey. Standing with those titles is his way of reminding both fans and critics that nothing was handed to him. He fought through tough opponents, doubt, and countless challenges to claim every piece of gold on his shoulders. His belts stand as proof of effort, discipline, and belief in himself, while also serving as inspiration for the next generation of fighters striving to follow in his footsteps.
I'm just reflecting on all my accomplishments at my mama house. That's where all my belts at. You know, hard work, dedication. Things that y'all favorite fighters
some unka. So I see why y'all mad. See why y'all mad. Ooh, look at that one right there. This where it all started at. Right here. This one. In Texas. In Texas, baby. Don't hate. Just congratulate.
Ortiz gave Crawford immense credit for his most recent fight, describing his performance as absolutely beautiful. He said Crawford did more than enough to prove himself completely and doesn't need to chase any further opponents to validate his greatness. From Ortiz's perspective, Crawford has already secured his legacy and doesn't need new challenges to be remembered as one of the best. This admiration, coming from a young and ambitious fighter, highlights how deeply Crawford's dominance has impressed the new generation, leaving them in awe of what he has already accomplished.
Perfect fight, actually. He neutralized all of Canelo's strengths. He knew that he was going to look for the right hook, because I believe that they've been looking at Crawford being hurt by that right hook before. So he neutralized it. He used his jab really well. He boxed beautifully. And, man, I mean, he did everything right. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Crawford first, because obviously we can get to Canelo later, but in the post-fight, they asked him, a media member asked him if he'd come back down to 154 to fight Boots. Obviously, in the same token, I took it as, all right, Boots or Virgil, right? And he said he's not coming back down to 154. What are your thoughts on him not coming down, and what do you think he will more than likely do next?
I don't know what he's going to do. I did read something that said he'll go down to 160, you know? And I think that is definitely a possibility, and you know, that fight can still happen at 160. And as far as what he's going to do now, I mean, I don't know. He kind of beat the final boss of the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's kind of nothing.
Crawford's impact on boxing has created a ripple effect, with fighters from different divisions now eager to call him out. Sebastian Fundora, known for his towering frame and aggressive style, has already expressed his desire to face him. This phenomenon is often described as the Crawford effect. Once a fighter reaches a certain level of dominance, others line up to test themselves against him in hopes of gaining credibility. Instead of Crawford chasing fights, opponents are now chasing him, a reversal of roles that underscores the power and influence he currently holds in the boxing world.
Is in full effect, okay? It's in full effect. Terence Crawford now is a wanted man. Prior to that, everybody said Terence Crawford is not a draw. Terence Crawford can't sell. Terence Crawford is not a big money fight. Now, we have an interesting situation brewing. The former unified WBA, well, WBO, WBC, junior middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar or star boxer, the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, refused to fight Terence Bud Crawford, who is now, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt, the pound for pound king, 5-division world champion.
Shaky Foster admitted that he was surprised by how Crawford has silenced so many doubts surrounding his career. For years, critics argued that Crawford hadn't faced enough top-tier opponents or might struggle against elite competition. However, his recent victories, especially over Canelo, proved that he could dominate even the most established champions. Foster acknowledged that Crawford not only erased those doubts but also set a new standard by demonstrating his worth under the brightest lights. To Foster, Crawford's journey is a testament to persistence, turning skepticism into undeniable respect.
I mean, shit. They definitely doubted, bro. And he told me months ago that he was gonna do that. And he went and did that. That shit, you know what I mean? And they doubted him a lot throughout his career, you know what I mean? Just a lot. And just a lot of people that I look at that's great fighters, they've been doubted. You know what I mean? Same thing with Floyd. Floyd, they had the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Shane Mosleys, the Trinidad, they all was putting them above Floyd and all this woo-de-woo. You know what I mean? So I just feel like getting doubted is a great thing. It gives me, you know what I mean, that push. So, yeah.
You think it would look that, I ain't gonna call it easy, but I felt like people didn't think that Crawford could do it that clean. Did that surprise you?
No. It did surprise me that he stayed more disciplined.
Blair Cobbs and Conor Benn shared strong reactions after Crawford's triumph over Canelo. Cobbs called the win a defining moment, while Benn went so far as to suggest that Crawford should consider retiring, leaving the sport on such a remarkable high note. Benn's comment wasn't meant as criticism, but as recognition of how complete Crawford's career already appears. To him, there is nothing left for Crawford to prove. He could walk away today and still be celebrated as one of the greatest of all time. Their words reflect the widely held belief that Crawford's legacy has already been firmly established, no matter what comes next.
Sail out on that beautiful sunset and retire. He's done a lot for the sport, and there's really not too much else that he can possibly do in the sport of boxing outside of make a beautiful retirement and leave a legacy of fighters that aspire to be just as great as Terence Crawford, like myself.
Has Canelo's legacy been damaged after that or not?
Not really. I think that Canelo is still a terrific and a fantastic athlete that's spent a little bit too much time at the table of boxing, and right now is his time to make his exit.
Not everyone, however, agrees with the narrative of Crawford's invincibility. Some analysts argue that, as monumental as beating Canelo was, it does not automatically place Crawford beyond defeat. They point out that the boxing landscape is filled with other highly skilled fighters who could challenge him under the right circumstances. To them, Crawford's victory is historic, but not absolute. Boxing remains unpredictable, and even the best can be tested. This perspective serves as a reminder that, while Crawford has reached incredible heights, the sport always presents new threats, ensuring that debates about his place in history will continue.
Division, that's not the move. If he goes back down there, he's the best guy in that division. I think it's safe to say that. But I do think that a lot of those guys will be very interesting and potentially difficult style matchups for him. They'll be more difficult than a Canelo fight. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but just go and look at the fight with Madrimov if you don't believe me. Long story short, beating Canelo Alvarez doesn't mean that Crawford is unstoppable or unbeatable. Yes, he's one of the best fighters of this division, one of the best fighters ever with his achievements, but it doesn't mean he won't lose before the end if he fights the wrong guy. At the very least, it doesn't mean he won't have a harder fight than that Canelo fight. And to finish this video, do I think that he's better than Floyd Mayweather? Do I think now that he would beat Floyd Mayweather if they were to compete at 147? Well, I think Crawford at 147 is the best Terence Crawford in terms of his attributes, his style, and the strength and power he has at the weight. I think he's probably unbeatable at 147 in this era. It's because he's going up the weight style we're even having this conversation, to be honest with you. But I do think he's an all-time great. I do think he's in the conversation, which is the best you can do, because we can't definitively say who beats who in a fantasy match. That's why I really don't like them. I've been asked a few of them recently, and I just, without studying and then without actually getting the chance to see it, I just don't really like going there. But we'll do it at the end of this video anyway. It's definitely a conversation to have whether or not he's better than Floyd Mayweather, because he's done it without these rehydration clauses. He's done it. He hasn't really cherry-picked, although I would say, to be fair, to look at Crawford's record, he has fought a lot of guys where it's been the very end of their career at welter. You know, Sean Porter, Amir Khan, Kell Brook, they're all great names, but none of them were in their prime anymore. But Crawford did it so emphatically, and the way he beat Errol Spence as well. Again, he'd had his issues, but again, the way he did it so emphatically, the way he passes the eye test every single time, you have to assume that he's going to do it no matter who he's facing. I do think a fight between him and Mayweather would have been very, very difficult.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.